Welcome back, life science learners, to the next segment. In our segment today, we're going to focus on the water cycle. It's important that we recognize that water is an important nutrient required by most living organisms for important physiological processes. Let's try and understand what is the water cycle and the importance of water to all living organisms. So the water cycle is also called the hydrologic cycle. Again, the word hydro refers to water, and so let's try and understand what happens in this cycle. The cycle of processes by which water circulates between the Earth's oceans, atmosphere, and land, involving the concepts of precipitation and rain and snow, are all part of the water cycle. It's important that we understand that there is drainage and streams that also contribute to returning the water back into the water cycle. Concepts such as evaporation and transpiration are important aspects of the process of the water cycle. So when we look at the water cycle, there are various different processes that are important in ensuring that there is regeneration and recirculation of water back into the cycle. We're going to have to spend some time looking at each of those processes. A very easy diagram to be able to look at to understand the context of this is something that we've seen. We know that our water forms a large proportion of the Earth's surface, and that water constantly cycles through evaporation, through precipitation, and moves back into the table water that we see on Earth. So that's the concept that we're going to have to unpack. So why is water important? Let's look at why water is important. Water is a major constituent of all organisms. Water makes up 99% of some marine invertebrates, 85% of some mammals, and 66% of most vertebrates. If we think about the composition of our bodies, a large composition of that is made up of water. The Earth is made up of a large component is water. So water forms an integral part of all living organisms. Water is necessary for the formation of food during the process of photosynthesis. We know that apart from light being important for photosynthesis and carbon dioxide, water is an important component that is used in the process of photosynthesis. Plants require photosynthesis to be able to survive and produce food. Water is a circulatory medium for carrying nutrients and for carrying away waste products for metabolism. During the process of digestion, we see that water is important in carrying away nutrients in our vascular system, as well as the important process of carrying and removing waste products from our systems during metabolism. Water also acts as a solvent for nutrients that are absorbed by plants through their roots. So we find that soil water contains a lot of nutrients, and those nutrients can only be absorbed into the plant through water. So it's an important solvent for chemical reactions, as well as a medium for being able to absorb nutrients from the soil into the roots. So let's have a quick overview of the water cycle and try and unpack the different processes that take place. So as I mentioned, the process of transpiration would be seen when there is water lost from plants. That water collects into the atmosphere, and we see a concept of precipitation, which is the rain that falls back onto the Earth's surface, including snow, fog, and hail. We also know that some of the water is deposited into our polar regions as ice. We also see, on the other hand, a lot of evaporation taking place from our water bodies, and that will accumulate into the Earth's atmosphere and form what we refer to as clouds and water vapor. And that process we refer to as is called condensation. When the water falls back onto the surface of the Earth, we see various processes occurring. One process is called percolation, which is when the water gets back into the groundwater. We also know that some of that water flows back into our marine or into our water bodies and accumulate there and then continue in the cycle. So guys, there's a whole list of concepts that we need to unpack. The following concepts are going to be concepts that we're going to look at in a bit. The process of evaporation. What does condensation mean? What is precipitation? the concept of percolation and transpiration. These are important in us trying to understand the complexities of what happens during the water cycle. Again, guys, it's important that we recognize that the water is an important component of all living organisms. Let's have a little break, and then when we get back, we will look at the processes that occur in the water cycle. Have a little stretch break, grab a glass of water, rehydrate, and I'll see you soon.